I'm enjoying Warzone quite a lot at the moment. I think the meta's in quite a good place, ranked resurgence is a lot of fun. It's just been a good time. But that's not to say it hasn't been without its problems. And there's a few things that I've learned just today even that have really kind of soured my view of Warzone as a whole. And then thinking about it, the whole Call of Duty franchise seems to have some significant problems, and I can't really see how they're going to go away. So let's have a chat about some of the biggest problems that Call of Duty as a whole faces right now. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like and subscribe, and of course let me know your thoughts in the comments below. First, a quick word from our sponsor and a chance for you to win a game of your choice. The sponsor of today's video is Instant Gaming. It's a website where you can get some pretty hefty discounts on all of the latest games, including Helldivers 2, 25% off, 29% off Balatro, that's just £8.55. I'm obsessed with that game right now, and a massive 42% off Pacific Drive. That's not all, you can win a game of your choice with the exclusive giveaway just for Geeky Pastimes viewers. Follow the link for that in the description below. You just need to follow them on social media and follow me on social media to get basically like raffle tickets for this. And then the winner will be able to choose a game of their choice. And the winner for that is going to be drawn in just 2 days. So make sure you enter now. So let's start with what is probably my juiciest complaint about Call of Duty, the one I think a lot of you will get behind. And it's something I've changed my mind fairly dramatically about over the last couple of hours. And that's the cheating. Now, I've been saying for a long time, I don't think cheating is as bad as a lot of people say in Warzone. I remember the days of Warzone 1 where you'd see people flying around in the air in jeeps and you'd see people locking onto people through walls and people who very, very obviously had wall hacks. And that was awful. I absolutely hated it. Since Warzone 2 came out and Ricochet came out, I don't really see many cheaters. And you know, right now I've been playing on keyboard and mouse. I play at sort of peak European times as well as sometimes in the morning and things like that. So I thought it was weird when other people seem to be saying, oh, the game's riddled with cheaters, there's cheaters in every game, it's an absolute disaster, and I just wasn't experiencing that at all. And to be honest, I just put it down to other people are probably just complaining. You know, they get beaten by people, they see people with better aim than them, and then they just assume that they're cheating. Because whenever I was even spectating people, no one, me or my chat, could identify people who were cheating. It just seemed like everybody was playing just pretty well. A lot of people had pretty good aim, pretty good movement, but they'd still be missing shots, they'd still be taken by surprise. It all looked pretty natural. I've also always dismissed the idea that loads of streamers and content creators are cheating. I know there's a big part of the community that believes all of the big streamers are cheating, but it just never made sense to me. Like, why would you risk your main source of income just for the sake of a few extra kills or a few extra wins or a few extra nukes or whatever it is? It seems like a really stupid thing to do because there's always the chance that you could get caught, you could get banned live on air, and then that would ruin absolutely everything. And most people, I would argue, probably aren't watching just to see you get the most kills ever or get the most wins or anything like that. Most people are watching you because they like your character, they like your personality, they like the discussions, they like the community. I can't believe many streamers or content creators would see it as worthwhile to cheat just to get a few extra kills and risk losing it all. But then today in my stream, a viewer recommended this video by Caps Locked, which I think came out a few days ago. And in it, he has somebody who does cheat, explaining how the cheats work right now, and actually showing off the way they work and how they use them. And it's kind of changed my mind about a lot of things to do with cheating. The biggest one is that he was showing, the guy who was cheating in the video, he was showing that it's possible to cheat using these cheats in a way that looks almost exactly like aim assist. I've had loads of people in my chat that I've argued with who have said, oh, the guy that killed you was definitely cheating, like his aim wasn't natural. And I've just been like, oh, that doesn't make any sense. He was missing some shots, it didn't look like he was cheating at all, they're just better than me, like they're just better aim. But then the way that they aim actually looked a lot like the people in Caps Lock's video, where this guy was openly cheating, and his aim looked exactly like that. Like, it was wiggling around a little bit, it wasn't completely locked on. It was just a case where apparently he had it bound, so when he held the fire button, it would basically then kind of soft lock on, it would kind of follow the enemy, and pretty much all of the shots would hit. But it looks amazingly natural. And he also showed off a bunch of other cheats, like having walls where, rather than it being like a big red box that you could see through the wall, it was just kind of a faint skeleton type thing. So you could imagine some people maybe noticing it, maybe missing it. Also having cheats on the radar, so they could always have basically a permanent advanced UAV, things like that. A lot of things where now looking at it, I'm thinking, okay, people could be using that against you, and you would have no way of telling. I don't think there would be any way to tell the difference between somebody who is really good at the game and somebody who is cheating. I genuinely, that's how my mind has changed now. I think we're at the point where you can't possibly know in your lobbies. The best way you could probably work it out, or at least speculate, is thinking about your skill within the lobby, and are these people considerably better than you? Because assuming that you're playing in a fairly populous region and you're playing at a time where there's lots of other people, you'd assume there's some kind of skill-based component to the matchmaking. I know they haven't posted their blog about matchmaking in Warzone yet, but from the multiplayer one, it sounded like it's at least something they consider. You'd think that you'd be playing up against people who are similar to you, and the idea that there'd be loads of other people who can aim much, much better than you, that feels like maybe it should be unlikely, unless some of those people aren't actually that good until they turn their cheats on. Now, in reality, it doesn't really matter that much about whether or not there really are loads of cheaters in your lobbies, because if you can't tell whether people are cheating or not, you're always going to have that element of doubt. It's always going to sap some of the fun out of the game, where whenever you get killed by someone, you're not thinking, oh, they outplayed me, GG. You're thinking, oh, they're probably cheating. Like, this is probably unfair. This is probably stacked against me. Nobody wants to play a game where the odds are always against them. So the very existence of these cheats that are basically undetectable, I've got no idea how you would be able to tell while you're watching somebody who has them. The existence of those kind of ruin the game regardless of how many people are using them. And even worse, in that caps lock video, and I'll put a link in the description below to the video so you can watch it for yourself, in the video he's saying that he was using these same cheats for over a year, and all that happens is they sometimes get shadow banned. And the whole community, the whole Warzone community, seems to have come up with this narrative that normal people get shadow banned all of the time, and then after 7 days, they get their account back, so it's obvious that they weren't cheating because they got their account back and everything's fine. But now in this video, they're saying, oh yeah, that's what happens when you're using cheats. When you're using these cheats, you get shadow banned for a week, and then you get your account back, and this cycle just kind of continues. So I don't know what to believe. Are all of these people who are getting shadow banned actually trying out these cheats and just sometimes getting shadow banned for it? I have absolutely no idea. I have no trust in anyone. I've lost all of my faith in mankind. It's an absolute disaster. And then, to add insult to injury, I've been saying for a long time, you know, Ricochet is doing the best it possibly could. I'm sure the developers are trying really hard. They don't want people cheating in Warzone, so I'm sure they're trying to do everything they can to stop them, but it's a really difficult problem. But then in that video, the cheater said that he accidentally left his cheats enabled when he loaded up a game of Apex. Bear in mind, these are cheats for Warzone. And Apex's cheat, which is easy anti-cheat, which is like a third-party thing that they use, lots of games use that, that detected it within a couple of minutes and gave him a permanent ban from Apex, so he can't play it anymore. So on Warzone, every week or so, he gets a 7-day shadow ban, but then gets his account back, so he just rotates between like 3 or 4 different accounts. On EA servers, on Apex, he instantly got a permanent ban. I mean, not instantly, but 2 or 3 minutes is pretty much instant. That's really damning for Ricochet if Easy Anti-Cheat can detect something made for a different game from Apex, but for whatever reason, Ricochet isn't working like that. I can only hope that at some point they do something to update Ricochet, or they abandon it and use Easy Anti-Cheat or something like that, and they find some way to get rid of this. Because right now, I really don't know what to believe when I'm getting shot by someone. Next time I play, I'll probably stream after I make this video. If I get killed by someone and their aim seems really good, I'm probably going to be thinking, hey, that person was probably cheating. And I kind of think this might be to blame for this whole thing where people have turned on controller users saying, oh, aim assist is just an aim bot and that lets them do unnatural things. I've been making a bit of a point lately of I've been playing on keyboard and mouse for a few weeks. I've been doing just as well as I did on controller, actually doing a little bit better in ranked than I was doing on controller. So I've been saying, you know, oh, controller isn't that OP, you know, both of them have advantages, etc. But a lot of the things that people blame aim assist for and accuse aim assist of, you know, being this kind of ability to lock on and ability to track people perfectly, looks exactly like what's shown in Capstock's videos with these cheats. Like, maybe people are seeing controller users doing these things that seem absolutely crazy and assuming that it's aim assist, because that's what everybody talks about, when in reality it might be people cheating. Now, I'll move on from cheating in a bit, but I do kind of want to end this with saying I still don't think a lot of the big streamers and content creators are cheating. I definitely think it's maybe more suspicious now. I think it's more likely that someone could, you know, if they've heard that, okay, people haven't been banned for over a year using these cheats, then, you know, maybe that would give them a bit more incentive to use it. But it still seems like such a stupid risk. Like, there's not that many streamers who people just watch because they're that good at the game. And a lot of these streamers and content creators, you know, a lot of these people that a lot of people accuse of cheating, like Symphony and Breadman and people like that, I've seen them playing offline at Call of Duty Next. They are that good in person. Like, they are insanely good at the game. They're insanely fast. They're insanely accurate. I don't see why they would then need to cheat when they're back home. That would just seem crazy to me. But yeah, so I don't think that a lot of the biggest content creators and streamers are cheating, but I am starting to think that there's a lot more people in my normal lobbies that probably are, and that is going to kill a bit of the fun for the game for me. But the cheating problem isn't the only problem Call of Duty faces. The biggest one for me, probably, I would say even more so than the problem with cheating, is the server instability. The amount of crashes and server kicks and just problems where I'm doing quite well in a game and then something happens where my entire computer locks up or the game locks up or it suddenly says server disconnected or something. That's almost more frustrating than anything. I've had it happen in a bunch of ranked games. The first time I got into Platinum, and then I got to Platinum 2 and got demoted back down to Platinum 1, was because I got kicked out of 4 separate ranked games and ended up losing a big chunk of SR in every single one. For a while, I thought maybe it was my PC, and someone from Activision sort of implied that it was my PC and it was a memory leak, but I've extensively checked that and it's definitely not. I thought maybe it was my connection, maybe it was something to do with my network causing some disconnect to the server. But then while I was playing last night, one of my friends, Flynn, who you've seen in a lot of videos, he's playing on Xbox and he was having the same kind of thing, the same kind of crashes out. We had one game where like half of the server all got kicked at once. My game was absolutely fine, but the other half of the server, suddenly there were people all over the place just like walking into walls and standing still. It was super odd. Like, these sort of things are happening more and more. There was that one day last week where everybody got disconnected from Warzone for a while and it took quite a long time to get back online. These are the sorts of things that you wouldn't expect to happen in a game that hasn't really changed dramatically for quite a long time. And this kind of leads me on to my next point, my next big problem with Call of Duty, and that's that they seem to have not quite abandoned, but given up a little bit on innovation. They seem to have decided it's not a good idea to keep reinventing the wheel, to keep reinventing what Call of Duty is, which they did in the time that I really loved Call of Duty. Like, I adored Call of Duty kind of from Black Ops 2 up to Black Ops 4. I thought there were some incredible games, and I loved the fact that every time a new Call of Duty came out, you'd be getting a completely different experience. Like, there were such huge differences between those games. It was awesome. And then since Modern Warfare 2019, it's all been a bit homogenized. And that's obviously come to a head with the last 2 games, where we went from Modern Warfare 2 to Modern Warfare 3, and everything's basically the same. You know, you've got a lot of the same weapons, you've got a lot of the same maps, you've got basically the same mechanics, although I know there's some different movement mechanics and things like that. And even though they've kept all those things the same, we haven't got the advantages of like increased stability or the engine working really well now, or them working out how to avoid glitches and avoid the cheats and all stuff like that. None of those advantages have come true. Instead, we've just got a game that feels almost exactly like the game did before. And for some people, I'm sure that's great. I feel like there's kind of 3 different types of people when it comes to a new Call of Duty release. There's the vast majority who just don't care whether it's new or it's old. They just play whatever the newest Call of Duty is, just the same as the people who play the newest FIFA and the newest Madden and the newest NBA. Those people won't care either way. Then there's the people who are like, they consider themselves the hardcore fans, the purists, and they've got this idea of what Call of Duty should be, and it looks a lot like kind of the exploit-filled versions of the original Modern Warfare 2, you know, where you have super big exploits in terms of movement and aiming. So you've got lots of head glitching, slide canceling, bunny hopping, all things like that. And they want that version of Call of Duty. Like, they don't want anything that deviates from that at all. They want it to go back to the kind of purest form of that they possibly can. And then you get people like me who just kind of want something fresh. They want a new experience. They want a bit of variety. I know there was a lot of talk with Modern Warfare 2 when Modern Warfare 2 2022, where people were saying, oh, they shouldn't change things for change's sake. And I was like, yeah, I love change for change's sake. I love the fact that I play a Call of Duty game for a year, and then the next Call of Duty game comes out, and it's something different. I've got a fresh experience. I don't even care that much about whether it's better or worse than what we had before. I just care about it being something new and something original. And that originality feels like what we're maybe lacking. I'm worried about Treyarch's new game this year, that it's going to be on the same engine probably, and it'll probably still be with the same version of Warzone, and it'll just essentially be like a skin for a different time period or a different setting, but all of the mechanics will basically be the same. I'm kind of done with this. I want something different. I'd love it. I think it'd be my greatest wish for the new game if they said, hey, we're going to do like a Blackout 2 and it's going to be crazy. We've revamped the movement. You know, they've either made the movement more realistic, or they've gone back to exo movement or something like that, or maybe come up with something entirely new, and maybe the campaign would be something completely different that we've never seen before. That would be amazing to me, but I'm just worried that we're just going to get more of the same, to be honest. My final point, my final big problem with Call of Duty is something that I don't think I've ever really articulated before, but it's almost a mix of all of the other things that we've talked about so far in this video, or at least something that I think could solve quite a lot of them for me. And that's the lack of a real Call of Duty community and support for a Call of Duty community. The biggest way I think that's shown is in how difficult it is to get a private game of Warzone going. Like, to get a private game of Warzone going right now, because people ask me for it all the time in streams, you need 50 players. 50 players is quite a huge amount for most streamers to get together at any given time. And then even if you do find 50 players together, you have to deal with server crashes, the lobbies restarting all the time, and you have incredibly little control over the game. You can't do things like banning certain loadouts or forcing everyone else to drop with the same gun, doing some of the cool custom rules that you have in limited time modes or anything like that. You can't do any of that. You just kind of get the most basic versions of Warzone, and you can maybe start a lobby and hopefully not too many people will get kicked. Similarly, for multiplayer custom games, there's tons of options missing. There's loads of options like changing the gun game ladders and things like that don't work. There's all of the clan functionality that they've experimented with different things over all of the different Call of Duty games, but right now there's this weird groups function that doesn't really do anything. There's no progression tied to it like there is in other games. There doesn't really ever seem to be a point in doing it. It just feels like Call of Duty is not doing a very good job of encouraging people to play together and have fun together. And instead, we're all kind of separated and fragmented, and everyone's playing by themselves. People don't like using voice chat because of the toxicity, or lots of people just using Discord instead. You don't have lobbies staying together after multiplayer games, so you don't end up coming across the same people over and over again. It just sort of breeds this mistrust where everybody's a stranger in the game all of the time. So you assume the worst of them, that, they're probably toxic, they're probably cheaters, they're probably playing in some way that you don't like. And I think it would be not necessarily simple, but I think there's a lot of fairly easy ways to remedy that. And the biggest one would just be increasing support for private games. Have things like what Battlefield used to have, some kind of server browser. Keep matchmaking and everything for those people who want it, but then also let you set up, paid for dedicated servers where you can run a whitelist server where you choose who gets on it and who doesn't, so you know that you're not going to have people cheating on it. People can drop in and out whenever there's space. Games constantly start regardless of how many people are on there. It wouldn't cost Activision anymore because players would be paying for these, just like they used to pay for Battlefield servers or Rust servers or whatever else. I feel like that would be an awesome thing to do, where you'd get communities grouped together who are like-minded, and you'd get all of those cool things that you have on community servers, like people saying, okay, we play without riot shields, or we play where everybody likes to snipe, or we play where nobody camps, or something like that, where you could just find your own community and play games with them rather than just worrying about playing with strangers all the time. But anyway, I've been complaining for like 20 minutes now in this video. I'm going to leave you with the end of this game, because this was actually, the rest of the game wasn't that interesting, but the end of this game, I thought I did a super good job at it. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like and subscribe. Make sure you check out Instant Gaming that I mentioned at the beginning of the video, and there's links in the description below. Don't forget about that giveaway, and I'll see you for the next one.
Gas is closing in.